you're here, and you're going down. And usually your weights are down here.
Oh, wow. That does your butt?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I love you. You're so sweet. She showed me these Chago chinos, and they're so good. I'm obsessed. Oh, my God. You're cute.
I don't know why, but I saw them on my nightstand as I was, like, leaving my house. And I was like, you know what? It was just
No
seems
one can
appropriate.
hear you yet.
It seems appropriate. Hello. Check. Have we started? 1, 2, 3.
I love this. Is this a bear?
It's a bear.
You're
Isn't
the cutest.
it cute?
Maarebeaar.
So, funny thing. Because bear has always just like been my thing.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, what does it mean? I'm like, well, it rhymes with mare, right? And then recently I went somewhere and people were like, oh, do you know the spiritual meaning of bears? And I was like,
I was just going to ask you, what's the spiritual meaning of bears if you love them so much?
No idea. But okay, so a teddy bear, you're supposed to gift someone a teddy bear because it like signifies like the innocence that there is in the world and like love and like reminding you of your childhood. And I feel like a lot of people tell me that like I'm like that for them.
Aww.
Where they're like, oh, you just like, you make me want to be a kid again.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how appropriate. I didn't even know that
so
like
cool.
there was meaning to it, but it's like,
oh, you are a little bear.
And then I was somewhere else and they're like, oh, like back, I don't want to like say this wrong, but like Native Americans and like back in the days when they used to have like shamans, the word for shaman was bear. And it just meant like someone who was like super, you know, like spiritually like aligned and like someone that you could go to in your community for like any like trouble. So I was like, now I'm like, I've been owning it, but now I'm like, yes.
The bear slippers, you have to show them the bear slippers. Get comfortable.
Cute.
Look at these. So cute. I love you.
I'm like coming over to a sleepover, but
right? Don't you love being in my bed? Thank you for coming back to my bed.
You should invite me here more often.
Oh, I'm so excited.
It's a great spot to be.
I know. Do you wear something like this to bed in real life?
Okay, so
are you this well put together in real life?
Yes.
When you go to bed, you're just like,
I woke up like this. Duh. No, normally I don't even sleep with anything on. But recently, it has been so cold in the new house I moved in.
Yeah.
Like, the windows are just like on every single side. So it gets so cold. So I do literally, as soon as I wake up, I put this on. Or before I go to bed, I will put this on because it's just like easy and it's a robe. And in the middle of my sleep, I'm like, and I throw it off.
Yeah, because it's so funny. Like when I actually go into bed, no matter how cold it is, I have to wear like shorts and I like being cold. Yeah. And I like having like a thick blanket over me just to like freeze, but like then I get all warm.
Okay, I have a serious question. This has nothing to do with anything, but socks or no socks?
No socks. I can't. Do you wear socks?
Like when it's super cold, I'll go into bed with the socks, and then 2 seconds later, I'm like, no, I have to rip them off. And then my feet will be freezing. And I'll just like rub them in the bed. I'll like rub them myself to sleep.
They say if you're like a little cold when you're going to bed, you actually go into a deeper sleep. Like you're supposed to be around like, it's supposed to be like the perfect, I guess, temperature is like 70 or 73. I don't know. I'd have to Google it, but yeah, to like go to sleep.
That's what my thermometer is at right now.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm so excited to have you here. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to $1 Billion Baby. Today, I'm in bed with Mariana, also known as Maarebeaar on Instagram. She has over 3 million followers across social media where she connects with her fan base to talk about everything from manifesting your dream life to building your dream booty. She's a self-proclaimed delusional optimist who has created her successful career on social media through her mindset secrets that she's going to share with us today. So $1 Billion Babies, listen closely because it's going to be such a fun episode. I'm so excited to have you here.
This is so cute. I love this intro. I'm loving the sign. It's so on brand. So is this kind of like your proclaimed prophecy? Are you saying that anyone who sits on this bed is $1 Billion Baby? Because we're going to manifest this right here, right now. You guys heard it here first. Replay.
Yeah. It's all about like talent or like creators and cultural leaders or business owners or just people that have billion-dollar qualities that got them to where they are today? And like, what is it that's like unique or different about you that got you to where you are? So you obviously have that. You're seriously like, I mean, every time I'm around you, you're such a positive light. You're such like an uplifter. And like, obviously we see how cute you are on social media, but even when I see you in person, you're such a bright energy. So I want that to be seen here today. I want to kind of talk to you about, obviously you've built your successful career on social media, and you're really about like mindset and all the things that you have manifested. So walk us through like a day in your life.
Okay, a day in the life. First thing I do when I wake up is I go work out, because by then I can't give myself any excuses as to why I can't work out.
Yeah.
So first thing I do, literally my eyes are still sleepy, I throw on a gym fit and I go to the gym, because that is like the best way for me to start and build momentum in the morning. It's like my first win. Like I just did something really hard to start my day, and that kind of just sets the tone for me throughout the rest of my day. Like on the days that I work out in the morning, I find that like everything else throughout the day is better. My mood is elevated. I just make better eating decisions. Like I'm like, okay, I just worked out, so I'm going to eat protein. I'm going to like feel my body the right way. And I just have like a literally better mood. And then that carries on with everything I do throughout the day. Like the happy endorphins that you get in the morning from working out, don't underestimate them, and like the power that they have to affect everything else you do throughout your day. So that's my number one.
Love that.
I literally master my mornings. I like go work out, and that just sets the tone. And I kind of am like in a transition between being like in my creative state and kind of building businesses, and that has like structured my day to day. It's kind of hard to do it all at once, so I have to split my week into like creative days versus analytical days, where I'm
love that.
On this day I'm literally only working with like the right side of my brain. Like I'm only doing like shoots, or I'm planning, or like strategic planning, and doing things that are more creative. And then I have days where I'm like, okay, now I'm only going to take my meetings on this day, and it kind of just helps to like structure my week so that I'm not all over the place, because I am a person that tries to do everything. And I found it a little bit hard until I found like structure in my life. That's when I feel like I'm like the most productive and able to get more things done.
Especially like for someone like you that like created your own career online, you're your own boss. So like getting yourself motivated in the morning and structured, like you have to be your own boss and like tell yourself, okay, this is how I'm going to be more disciplined and all those types of things. What do you feel like really got you to the place where you could be your own boss? Like what parts of yourself do you feel like got you to that place in your life that you were proud of?
I think being your own boss, everyone, obviously wants that and like says that, but I think it's really hard to achieve, because you have to have like you have to be hard on yourself and have a level of like discipline that even whenever you don't want to do things, you still do them. And learning to operate at not an emotional level, but a discipline level means that you are doing the things you have to do despite of how you feel. And that is the hardest part about being your own boss.
So true.
Because whenever you have, you have a 9 to 5, someone tells you, hey, you need to come in, you need to do this and this. You have someone who's telling you what to do. You can easily wake up in the morning and say, oh, I don't really feel like doing this today, or like, I'm not in the best mood. I'm not just going to do it. So that's when discipline kicks in. And it's like, no, you're going to do this for the person that you told yourself you want to be in 10 years. And you're going to do it for them despite of how you feel today. Yeah. And if you just always act in accordance with like your vision and what you want for yourself, I think that's like the best way to continuously do things for yourself, because you're not really doing it for yourself. You're doing it for that person that you want to be. So it's like, you're working for them, but you're working for yourself. Yeah. So it's a little bit of both.
And what I think is really cool too is like there's probably a lot of people watching that, work at a company or work for other people. But I think that one thing that's powerful is not always looking at it like, oh, okay, maybe I don't care as much because this is for someone else, or that type of energy. Like, I think when you kind of go into things being like, I'm going to be the best version of myself today, even if you're at another company or somewhere you want to leave eventually, you're building yourself to be a better version of you to when you are your own boss. Like, I think that's a very important thing that I see with people sometimes they're like, oh, I'm not as motivated to go to the office, or you're kind of just like slacking off and like all that stuff, but they don't realize that's affecting themselves too. It's not just the company, it's affecting you. So I just think there's so many ways you can become a better like person that wants to run their own company or be able to own a piece of the company they work at, is like how you show up every day. So I think you can practice that in so many ways.
And I think being your own boss maybe is like a misconception where people are like, if I'm my own boss, that means I can't work for anyone else. That's not necessarily the case, because it is really hard to start out that way. Yeah. And you kind of have to start learning through other people who are better in your field than you are, you know?
Yeah.
And I think there's no shame, like obviously in like having jobs, because you need that. Like you need to learn, you need to grow. And then like from those jobs, you acquire skills and you learn from other people who are in like your same community. And, you know, then you can decide, do I want to grow within this company? Do I want to take these skills that I learn and build something for my own? It's not for everyone. Being your own boss just means like being your boss and saying, okay, I'm going to take this job because I know that I'm going to learn and I'm going to become a better version of myself. And that is in a different, like you're still being your own boss because you're choosing to make that decision. You're choosing to take that job or that career.
A thought I just had is, do you think that it ever goes away where when you're your own boss, that you ever are like, okay, I totally release the fear of failure? Because I feel like one thing when you're your own boss is you have to be so comfortable with the feeling of I could fail, because it's all on you. Like you're constantly having to get comfortable with it. Whereas if you work at another company, it's kind of like that a little bit of the ease goes away and you can kind of like show up in a different way. Whereas every morning you're waking up, if you own your own companies, it's on you to make your own money. It's like on you to be successful, like go to the next level. All that stuff is on you. So like, I wonder, I don't know, do you feel like it ever goes away where you're not like always...
I mean, I think we have to remember, like, we're all just human beings being human, right?
Yeah.
And we look at these people that we like idolize and like think they're perfect, and we're like, wow, they don't have any fears, or they, you know, they're just like built different. And it's like, no, we have fears. Like we wake up, we're scared. We don't know if we're gonna make it or not. But the difference is that the fear of failure doesn't impede you from trying.
100%.
Because failure is normal, and being comfortable with failing is when you get to a really good state and place in your life, because it gets easier every single time, right? You're like, okay, I don't see things as failure. I see them as like lessons to like learn and get better. So I think it's normal. Like it's normal to be a little bit fearful. And I think in a way it's like exciting, because whenever you do get it, it's like that much more rewarding, because you're like, wow, I was a little bit scared to do this, but I overcame it. Yeah. And it's actually funny. We were talking about, you know, being scared to do things. And I really looked at you and I was like, wait, why are we scared? Like, you know, what is the worst that's going to happen? We're going to get our answer of whether it worked or if it didn't work. And well, no. And I feel like when you have fear, all that does for you is it causes you to overcomplicate things that don't need to be overcomplicated. Like fear of starting a podcast. You think of all these things that could go wrong, or, oh my gosh, I'm going to be, you know, people get to
We talked about this.
Yeah, watch me talk.
I was like...
And I was like, that's so true. And why do we have those feelings? Like they're valid, but that doesn't mean that we can't overcome them. And I actually made my lock screen that day that we talked about that. And it's just super simple, but I made it. It says, it's easy and it's no big deal, to remind myself that every time that I'm like, oh, I want to do something, and my brain automatically goes to like a negative. It's like, well, what about this? Like, did you figure this out yet? Because I'm such a perfectionist that I try to like, whenever I do something, I can't do it until it's perfect. And then I find myself either not doing it or procrastinating. And I'm like, no, just do it. Done is better than perfect. Yeah. So just reminding yourself like, okay, it's easy and it's no big deal. It kind of just puts you in like a different mindset. And it weird because it starts making things easier for you. Your brain is now like thinking it's easy, it's no big deal. So it's finding ways that you can make this easier on yourself.
Exactly. When you get into it's like, it's like when a problem happens, some people go to solution mode and some people go to worry mode. To be honest, sometimes I go to worry mode.
That's okay.
And I'm like, God, I know I'm not helping the situation at all, but it's about like recognizing where you're at, because your mindset is so important about a situation. Like you're saying, if you look at it as it's easy, it's no big deal, your mind is going to look for ways that it's easy and it's not a big deal, and you're going to find the next step. And I always found out too is like everything feels like a whole ordeal. Like starting this podcast was a whole ordeal for me, but it's just doing like the first easiest step. So you're like, okay, it looks like a whole mountain I have to climb, but let me just look at like the next step. That really helps when you're trying to start something. And then especially if you're fearful of it and you have fear, you do that one step and you're like, okay, it wasn't so bad. You do the next step, you're like, oh, it wasn't there. And then by the time you've done so many steps, you're like, I'm not going to go backwards down the hill. I'm going to just go to the top. And so that's, yeah.
And that, my friends, is how you build an empire. Rome was not built in a day. Baby steps.
Yeah.
So yeah, just kind of setting those simplifying things, right? Like you look at this outcome and you're like, oh, this podcast is so difficult. So simplify it for yourself. It's easy. It's no big deal. What's the first thing I got to do? Find a producer. Boom. Second thing I got to do is find talent. Boom. And then it just kind of goes from there. And then you build your momentum. You go and you start getting more things done.
Yeah. 100%. Okay, so my next thing for you is, so with manifesting your life, what are some basics that you practice? Do you have any tools that you use, like vision boards, obviously crystals? Do you meditate? Like, what are some certain things that you feel like have worked for you with manifesting?
So I actually don't really use crystals that much. All of my crystals that I have been gifted to me.
Aww,
all of like the spiritual things that I have been gifted to me. Like I've been gifted tarot cards, like manifestation books, which I'm like, okay, this is a sign from the universe that like I need to like look into this. But I actually did this thing. It's called like human design chart. And I've always known this because I'll say things and it happens. And I think it's also why I'm kind of a really positive person, because no matter what I say, I'm like, it comes true. So that's why I don't talk bad about people. I don't speak negatively
on any
subjects because I just don't want that energy out there. So I did this human design chart, and you put in all your information, it tells you. And I'm supposedly a manifesting generator. You guys should look into it. It's really cool.
Well,
it literally tells you everything about you, like pinpointed down. So I've always known that I've been a good manifester, but there's certain things that I do that work better than others.
Yeah.
And one of the main things that I learned when you're manifesting is to really be clear about what you want and why you want it, and not worry so much about the how and the when.
Yeah.
Because those are technically things that you can't control, and you trying to control them, you're only pushing your manifestation farther and causing resistance. So if your goal, let's say, for example, is, I want to make a lot of money. Okay, cool. Why? Like, why is that important to you? Is it because you don't want to go back to a previous place that you were in your life where you broke before? Do you want to support your family? Do you want to be able to give back to other people? Like, just thinking about why, like what you want, and adding that why to it makes it so much more powerful, because now you've tapped into your emotions of why you want that thing. And that's so much more significant because it's coming from a different place within you and like your heart. And I think that speeds up manifestations so fast. Because if you're like, oh, I want more money and this is how I'm going to do it, then it's like you're closing your eyes to everything else that's coming like your way, because you're not seeing it. You're only like focused on that one thing. Yeah. So I think sometimes being a little bit broad with what you want, but staying true to the reason why you want it is like the best way to welcome it into your life. So if you're trying to like manifest, or if you're like journaling or writing things down, that's something that has been like super helpful for me, and like guidance to kind of like help with that.
That's amazing.
That's one. Okay.
That's step
There's
one.
So many.
No, there are. Because it depends where you're at in your life and like what emotions are coming up for you, depending on which tools you probably use.
Yeah, exactly. I guess another one, I think I've mentioned this to you before as well. Am I like flinging this thing around a little bit, right? Like, let's not do that. Check. 1, 2. Sorry, guys. I'm like, hello. And then I really need to stop. I need a little. Okay. Second thing that I do, question that I think you've asked me before, is like, okay, how do you manifest the person that like you want to become?
Yes.
And this was kind of like an issue for me, where I was like at a point in my life where I was feeling like I was getting pulled in too many directions, and I had to just sit down with myself and think about like, okay, who is the person that I want to be and what do they do? And I had to write it almost in a third person. And the way that I like associated this was with the game Sims.
Oh, yeah. I have that one written down. I'm excited.
Because that was a game that I played in my childhood.
Me too. I loved that game.
It was amazing. They need to have it again. But basically in Sims, if you've never played Sims, is you get to build your character. You choose the clothes that they wear. You choose like everything about the character. You choose the house, the life that they live, the job that they have. So it like took a weekend where I was just by myself and I basically pretended like I was in that game again. And I was like, I am God. I am creating this character in this simulation and I get to choose everything about that character. I get to choose how they look, how they carry themselves. I get to choose like what they do on a day-to-day basis. I get to choose how much money they have. I get to choose literally everything about that person. So I just wrote down my ideal character of like who I would want to be in a video game because whenever I did that, it was purely like logical of like, okay, this is what they do. Like, this is what I want. And then I'm like, okay, so now I just have to act in accordance with who that character is and become that avatar. And if there's certain things that you're doing, like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym today. Well, you want to become your avatar. She's fit and she works
like,
out.
What would she do today?
Yeah, what would she do? Or like, if you don't know how to respond in a situation and like you're a little bit scared because your emotions are like in the way and it's like, well, she knows exactly what she wants and you channel her and you ask like that character, okay, what would she do in the situation? Yeah. And that just like has helped like open so many doors and like made things so much easier for me. Because in those moments where I'm like, oh, like, I don't know, like I should do this or I don't want to do it, I just think of her and I'm like, no, she would do this. Like she would make this decision. Like she wouldn't be scared. Like she would just go for it. Yeah. And that has like, is like almost like a visualization, but also like internalization of like becoming that character. And it's really powerful because you get to choose who you want to be. And that is really up to you. Yeah. And it's hard sometimes to think about yourself like, oh, I want to do this. So it's so much easier to think about it as a character and then embody them.
Yeah, I feel like when I was getting super into manifestation and I did it with like I first got awakened to it with The Secret, which is pretty common for a lot of people.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. It's on Netflix. Oh, they took it off Netflix.
They did?
They did.
Weird. That's kind
of crazy. Look it up.
That awokened a million people.
Yeah. That's crazy. The Secret.
That's kind of sad. But yeah, what was crazy to me is I've probably watched that movie so long ago now. I think I was 20. And so I remember I got super into just like, well, I was going through a really bad breakup and I was super sad driving to my mom's house. Couldn't even be alone with myself in my house. Like very like poor me energy. But I didn't know that I was being that way. I was just like, Mom, I have to be with you. And I was like so sad. And then she's like, I'm going to the grocery store. We'll have to come with you. Can't stay home alone with my own thoughts and me, you know, like that level of sadness. So I just remember like once I heard that, I was like so awakened. I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing this to me. I'm being more sad, making me more sad, more sad, more sad, more sad. I'm like, it's just a freaking like loop.
It's a loop. Yeah.
So then I got like very spiritual and very into like manifesting and you create your own reality and all that stuff. But then what I realized too is like you can get to a place where you start to be almost upset with yourself when you aren't positive, or you're like, why am I feeling this way? Why am I worrying? Why am I negative? Like, because then you're like, oh my God, I'm manifesting it now. Like, why am I like you then get to a place where you're so like trying to be that way that you almost judge yourself more if you're not that way. Yeah. And what I really realized one day was, and I wanted to tell this story because when me and you were chatting, I was like, this reminded me of what we were talking about. Was one day I like had a pool party with all my friends at my house, and I just moved into this beautiful home and finally got like my dream house. And I walked upstairs away from all my friends to change the song. And as I was walking upstairs alone, I was like, oh my God, even when I would cry or be negative or doubt myself and all these things that they say like is against the law of attraction or against manifesting, I still got to where I wanted to be today. And so it was just such a beautiful thing. And I feel like such a good message to let people know that like it's okay to even doubt yourself. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get to where you want to go. It's all about just consistently getting yourself back up when you're in that energy to do it, and then working on it again or trying again. So,
and like I said it again, and I said it and I'll say it again. We're just human beings being human. And I know that like you're always like, oh my God, you're the most like positive person that I know. And I am, and I try to be, but that doesn't mean that I'm not human. I don't have human emotions. Like I obviously have days where I am sad or I am down and like I don't feel my best, and like that's fine. And I think the best like way that I've like learn to deal with it is give yourself grace and like let yourself almost just like enjoy that like time period. And it's like, okay, if you don't have your lows, you can't experience your highs. So it's like there's almost like a beauty in being in that low, because when you do achieve your highs, it's like so much more powerful, because you remember there was a time where I didn't feel like this. And I think that makes you even more proud of yourself. So when you're in those moments where you're just like sad, literally it's hard because you're like, that's all you can think of, and you're like in a little tunnel and you don't even see like the world above you. So it's like you just have to remember that that character is out there, and like give yourself grace, give yourself time, and look for other people and support. You know, it's hard to get out of those like holes when you're alone. So having someone who is a friend who can like bring a distraction to you, who can be like, okay, come on, let's go to the gym, or let's go do this, like help you get out of those tough moments. It's like the best thing that you can have. Like, and just be open to help and like getting support from other people who can like elevate you and like get you to a better place where you could build momentum and then like keep going and get back to your old self. Because it's not realistic to think that you're going to be this perfect version all the time. You just have to remember that whenever things happen to us, it feels like the world is crashing. It's like the worst thing ever. And it feels like it's going to be happening forever. And it's not. It's just a small, like, you know, when something hurts, like let's say you cut your finger, like that 1 minute of it hurting, that pain feels like a lifetime. And that's, you know, when you're in pain, it feels like it's so long. And you have to remember pain is temporary and pain is part of growth.
That's so true.
And learning.
And healing.
So I don't know.
That's a good example of like when you cut yourself or hurt yourself, you have to like, it feels like it's like,
Yeah, you're like, is this ever going to go away? Yes, it is.
That's cool.
It is.
Two things I want to talk to you about is like, there's so many people that look up to influencers and social media stars or people that have been able to create a life off social media. Do you think it's possible to manifest being a social media creator?
Oh, absolutely. Like you can literally manifest whoever you want to be. It's just like you have to act in accordance with the person that you want to be. So if you're saying, oh, I want to be a creator, but you're not putting out content, or you're not doing the things that a creator would do, you're not reaching out to brands, you're not embodying the energy of a creator, you're not going, you know, to meet people or collab, then it's like, if you're not doing those things that you should be like already become that person, and then it's just so much easier of a road for you to get there.
Do you feel like when you were first starting out with your social media career, like, do you remember thinking back to like your mindset then and how you got this life? Or do you feel like it was kind of like, oh, because I've heard some creators say like, well, I didn't even really like plan for it. And then I'm like, okay, well, what about the people that did plan for it? And like, what does that look like for you?
Okay, so same. I didn't really plan for it. It kind of just happened. A little bit of background, I guess, for the people who don't know. I went to school to be an industrial engineer. I graduated with my degree, and I was like, okay, I grew up in Brazil, and that's what my parents did. You know, they went to college, they got regular jobs, and they were really successful. So that was my idea of success. And as a little kid, I was ambitious and I was chasing success. So I said, I'm going to do what I know, you know, is the right path to success, which is go to school, get a degree. I wasn't good at biology. My parents wanted to be a doctor. I was like, nah. They're like, lawyer? wasn't good at history. I was like, nah, like I'm good at math and science, so I'll do that. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be an industrial engineer. And Instagram was just kind of like my creative outlet on the side. It's like, this is what I'm doing. And I just started showing people who I was as a person and what I did. And I think just like my personality was infectious to other people, and that's what brought them onto my platform. And then I was like, oh, well, this is way more fun than all the tests that I'm taking and like going to my internship at Lockheed Martin. And I was like living this Hannah Montana double life where I would literally go to school every single day of the week and go to my internship and work. And during the weekends, I would come to LA and like I would meet Jake Paul and like just stupid things. And I was like, they're living a completely different life than I'm living. And I'm having way more fun doing this. So I'm like, am I passionate about what I'm doing? And I had to have that conversation with myself. I was like, okay, I'm not passionate. I'm good at math and science. Like they want to hire me, but I'm not passionate about it. I'm passionate about, you know, like creativity and doing things that are more of like an emotional outlet. So it was kind of a whim. And I just kind of was showing my true colors because Instagram wasn't a business. It was just show yourself and like who you are. And that attracted people to my page and like brands. So it was kind of just something that happened by accident in a way. But now it is something that is not an accident. And now that I'm in this place, I act more of like, okay, what do I, now that I have this platform, what can I do, you know, to be better at it?
So do you feel like you got to a certain size following and then we're like, okay, let me take this more seriously?
Yes.
And then that's when you started to be more
exactly
purposeful with the things you were doing and who you were collabing with and who you met.
I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Like I thought,
how many followers were you at when you had that feeling?
Probably like 50K.
That's great. 50K.
Yeah.
I like to like say that for other people that are listening, like at what place, because I think so many people compare themselves to the huge people online and then think it's so daunting and they can never have that life. So like really breaking it down to like, you know, you can have 10K followers and be like, okay, so like that's working, or 5K followers, that's working. Like people are following you for something you're doing or something you are.
If you know that this is like your career and like what you want to do, you're already 10 steps ahead of where it was. And like you can be so much more successful because you're deliberate and you're intentional with it. And like when you know what you want, you can go get it. I didn't really know what I wanted. I like had this one ideal of success that I grew up with my whole life. And then I got thrown into a world where I was like, wait, I like this better. And I had to like make the switch, and I honestly wasn't sure how. So I wouldn't say I'm an expert.
And I remember you kind of telling me too, like you were going down this path. You know, you're obviously very smart. You would have gotten an amazing career doing that and probably made great money, and your family would be proud. And you taking a risk to be like, you know, fuck it, I'm gonna go this direction. I think that's also a powerful message to the universe.
Yeah,
it's like putting like, all cards on you. Like the full bet is on you to like be this person. And so yeah, that's kind of like it's a good energy to put out.
Yeah, it is. So like if you're watching this and you're thinking like, oh, like this, like that's what I want to do, like I want to be influencer, like that's a career, like literally just start acting like it. If you go out in public, take those videos, like don't be scared, like we do it, and just start embodying that energy, because that will get you there so much faster than like being unsure, which is honestly how I was. But now that I'm at a place where I'm like, okay, I know what I want, I find myself like working through things so much better.
100%. There's like so just obviously with being in this world, and I work with so many influencers, there's so many times that I see like certain, I keep holding the bear. There's so many times I see so many influencers that I'm like, okay, some of them have, you know, 500,000 followers, 1 million followers, 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, but still like there's so many times there could be an influencer that has less followers than the next person, but the way that they show up makes me feel like they're more successful and famous just because how they show up. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Like it's not so much about how much followers you have, it's more about like you owning your career online and the fact that you're this creator and like how you show up and the things that you're building and the things that you're doing. So yeah, I just think that's like a really cool way to look at the internet, is like trying not to compare so much, but owning like who you are and your power and what you're doing with it.
Yeah. And it is hard not to compare, you know, because we're in the age where it's so easy to have everyone at your fingertips. But I this is going to backtrack a little bit. But my biggest like lesson on that and like not comparing yourself to other is that like you are yourself and no one else is you, and that is your superpower. If you try to be like anyone else, you know, they're already taken. You can't be as good as them because they're already them and they're already doing it. So literally be yourself. And I had a lot of trouble with this whenever I moved here from Brazil because I was like, oh my God, I'm the foreign kid. Like, I need to learn how to speak English, which is why I don't have an accent. I was like, I don't want to be different. Wow. Like, being different is scary, you know? Like, I don't want to be ostracized. I want people to think that I fit in. Like, wow. Like,
I couldn't even imagine you with an accent.
I know. This is such a funny story. Okay.
Yeah, you have to tell it. That's cool.
I went to YMCA summer camp whenever I like moved here. I was probably like 9 or 10. And in Brazil, people just like, I don't know, wear cheeky bikinis. Like, that's why it's called like the Brazilian bikini or whatever. I went to the summer camp in Virginia. And we had like a pool and like water activity days. My mom packs my bathing suit. I put on my bathing suit. It's like a child's bathing suit, but it's kind of cheeky. And like back then, people only wore like diaper butt like bikinis. Right? So I go, hilarious. I put my bikini on. Everyone is staring at me. And they're like, ew, why is she wearing that? And like literally my heart is like sunk to the ground. Aww. I feel awful about myself. I go home, I literally cry. I'm like, Mom, please take me to Walmart. Like, please buy me like a bigger bikini. And she's like, okay, like sure, we'll get you a bikini. And she goes and she buys me a bigger bikini. Aww. And I was like, okay, cool. I fit in. And then like now that I look at myself and I'm like, I'll wear a thong bikini and I'll rock it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm proud to be Brazilian, like, and I'm proud of my body. So it's just like having those stages in your life where you're like, oh, you're trying to fit in. And it's like, I would never be the person that I am if I was still trying to fit in and like do what everyone else is doing. I'm like, I'm going to be me. And the people, once you learn to do that, you're just so much more authentic to yourself. And the people who resonate with that will like follow you and love you for you.
It's starting to be okay with not everyone's gonna like you is a hard thing for people.
Yeah.
Not everyone's gonna like the content you're doing or the things you're doing. And I think that's the most scary thing for people to be in the creator space is like, oh, everyone's watching. And some of these people are following them from high school or elementary school or their family members. Like, it is a scary thing, but it's all about just, you literally just have to be like, do I care more about what they think or about me being successful and what I think? And so you just kind of rip the Band-Aid off and be like, it's not so bad, and just keep going.
Yeah, exactly. And like, as long as you're authentic to you and like who you are, then like the right people will follow you, because you're not trying to like put up like a facade and like be like, oh, I need to, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I was going to say, one of the things I heard on this girl's YouTube was she talked about like a whole video about manifesting the amount of followers you have and like how that's so hard for people. And why that's hard for people, because obviously we've talked about this before, is like resistance and feeling like you want it so bad, but you're almost pushing it away. And one of the cool things she said, which I always believe this because I do this with everything I manifest, is making it normal. Like, it's not a big deal to have this many followers, but then start with baby steps. Like, if you have 5,000 followers, like, what can you actually picture yourself having next? Can you picture yourself with 6,000? 7,000, 10,000, but do the next step and then make it so it's like on your playing field. Because if you put something on a pedestal and it's out of reach, then it's not aligned with you. And so it has to feel like it's normal for you to have that many followers. And like, it's not such a crazy thing.
Talking about creating this whole podcast, right? Like, obviously it's a whole production and a lot goes into it, but just thinking about one thing that you can do, like, okay, how can I gain one more follower? Like, what would I do? Okay, I'd want to connect more with my audience. I would want to like engage more with them. Oh, I could, collab with someone. And it's so totally believable that you can gain one follower, right?
Yeah.
So as long as you believe it, like, yeah, I can gain one follower. What can I do to do that? Then you start thinking of all the ideas as to how you can do that. And then you do them, and then you just do them again, and then you do it more. And then it just like, make it so easy for you that like,
do you feel like
it seems like it's no big deal, but then you just do more of it?
Do you feel like it helped you a lot when you started hanging out with other influencers and creators? Because that's also a thing, is like hang out with the people you want to be like, and you start to like pick up things that they do or ways they think.
Yeah. I think that's so big. Like there's this quote and it's like, you are a sum or.
Yeah, you're like, yeah. You're like the 5 people you hang out with closest or something.
Yeah, it's like you'll become like the 5 people that you hate in your circle that you hang out around with. And honestly, there was a time where I was growing really fast on social media, and it was because I was around more creators and like-minded people who were doing the same thing. And I think that's so important for growth because you learn from them, and it just like cultivates that like culture that where you guys want the same thing, and it's just easier to like achieve together. Right now, I feel like I have so many friends that are like in different spaces, and I'm kind of enjoying this period of my life because I'm at a period where I also want to like build businesses and create more things for myself. So it's nice to have different perspectives. Like I have like my close group of friends are literally like you, who's a boss and a CEO and just has an entire company of like women underneath you. And you're this person that they can look up to, and like you help them like create money and like just build a better life for themselves. So just like surrounding yourself with people who you look up to and who have something that maybe you don't, I think is important. So finding a balance of having a friend that does the same thing that you do so that they can like motivate you and you guys can grow in it together, but also diversifying your friend groups with people that are different from you, because otherwise you can't learn from it.
Yeah, it's like different people could bring out different aspects of you. What would you tell someone that wants to obviously be a social media creator and wants to be able to start collabing or being around other influencers? Like, what is the easiest way for them to, like, what's your strategy with collabing with other creators? Because I know now for you, it's probably easy. You're like, hey, want to take a photo together? But you have all these followers. So someone else might feel like that's so daunting. Like, oh, I don't have enough followers. They won't want to collab with me. So like, what's the initial like gateway into that world for someone that wants to start getting around creators and influencers?
I think that it's a little bit scary at first, but you have to put yourself out there. It kind of goes back to failure, where you don't know until you try. So, you don't know, you might reach out to a bigger creator and they might not answer, but okay, at least you have, your answer. Or start with a smaller creator. Yeah. Do something like that seems so easy and so doable, but also have a confidence within yourself that you are good enough to like collab with this creator, that you are providing value when you collab with this creator. And just like really like believing in yourself, because then, like you said, other people will believe in you too.
And I think just like what's so cool about the universe, it's like, I forgot the saying, but it was something about like, if you throw a ball out to the universe, like if you don't put that energy out there, like how are you going to get it back? Like you're not going to get it back. So you have to like put it out to the universe and even take a step towards like collabing with someone else, even if they have the same size following with as you or less followers. It's about you just doing it and starting to get used to that, and then putting that energy out there. And then because you're putting it out there, you'll attract another thing like that. And so you'll keep attracting those types of things because now you are living that, and then you'll get bigger and bigger and bigger people, or you'll just get more engulfed into that world. And so it becomes more normal and more things align with you.
It's a great way to start, and like maybe start small to something that seems easy to you. And then you're going to, let's say you have a creator who's the same size as you, but in the same niche. And let's say you collaborate with them, you share ideas, you learn from them. Boom. That's your first win. And like, if you don't have confidence to begin with, doing that will get you a little bit more confidence, because you're going to say, okay, like I did that. It wasn't so bad. Now let me try with someone else. And it is something that, everyone says like be confident, but it's something that you have to actively like work on and kind of like grow with.
100%. Okay, so kind of going into some other stuff. You're someone that literally every time I see you, I want to stand up and start doing squats. So I'm going to go into the fact that you've manifested, obviously, your dream career, and then now you have built your dream booty. Is it possible for someone that has no butt or barely a butt to get a butt like yours?
Yes. I don't know if I should say this.
What?
But it's fine because she knows it, so she'll say it too. For example, my best friend.
So what is the mass part of your butt? Is that like
muscle?
Oh, okay. But like, where does that form? Like at the bottom or at the sides or like?
Yeah, everywhere. So there's different workouts that you can do that are either, the top of your butt or like the side underneath or the whole thing. But I think that a lot of people just look at the gym as like, okay, I'm going to go to like build, myself and my body. But the way that like I personally train and the way that I make my programs is I have a very specific goal. Like I train for proportions. So I know that I want a bigger butt and smaller legs. So before I kind of just used to go to the gym and I just did every exercise. It was good because I learned how to do every exercise.
Yeah.
But then I started learning that there are certain things that you should do to achieve like the body shape that you want, and there's certain things that you shouldn't do. Like just like there's workouts for athletes, right? And they do a lot of endurance training and like things that help in their field. The way that I train and like the way that I teach people how to train is obviously very booty big.
Yeah, like focusing on your butt.
Yeah, it's all of my leg days are pretty much like glute days. You're still working out your quads, your calves, and everything else, but the main focus is growing your glutes. In accordance with that, you're growing like your legs and everything else. But my workouts are glute focused. And then I do like lighter upper body workouts because I still want to be toned, but I don't want to have like a really, muscular arms. That's just not what I'm looking for. And that's what I've like perfected. So the way that I structure my workouts are to build proportion, build your glutes, like tone your legs and have just like a tighter and like fitter upper body, toned arms, but they're not excessive.
That's
just personally what I like, and like to me, like
but that's really cool for people to know.
With other people, and if that's not your training style, that's okay. But if that is your training style, then I got you because I've taken a lot of time to learn it.
There was this thing that Khloe Kardashian posted one time, and she was talking about like doing a certain amount of squats every single day if you want to get a butt.
BS.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, squats are a great exercise for your butt, not going to lie, but they're not butt dominant. Like you're still working out your legs, and squats are really a great workout. But for me, like hip thrusts are my go-to, and step ups. That's when and RDLs. Those are like the main three.
What's an RDL?
An RDL is a Romanian deadlift. So it's kind of like a deadlift. Best way I can describe it is you're just hinging your butt back. You're not necessarily squatting down. And you could do it with 2 legs, 1 leg. So you're kind of just staying still. And instead of your butt going down, it's going back. So change my PJs. Instead of you squatting down like this,
you're
here and you're going down. And usually your weights are down here.
Oh, wow. That does your butt?
Yeah. Wow. Literally hinging motions are really good for your butt. Oh, wow. So literally if you just walk around the house and like I'll literally just be like hinging throughout my day.
I'm just hinging.
Feel it. Yeah. It activates your butt. It's great.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then obviously like you plateau and like throughout like your workouts. So the way
how do you get to a place where like, okay, you start building your butt and you don't plateau? Like, can you really just like keep building it? Or it's just like getting heavier weights from there? Like,
yeah. So one is obviously diet. In order to build muscle, like you need protein, and I feel like that's a lot of place. That's a place where it's really difficult. I'm actually redoing my whole booty like program and my whole website right now. So I'm actually gonna have tailored meal plans for each person. So depending on like your body type, what your goals are, it'll be tailored exactly to that. And like you'll know your macros, you know how much protein you should be eating every single day. If there's an exercise that you don't like doing, let's say, I don't want to do squats because my knees hurt, then it will replace it for you. So it's going to be tailored to each person, but still work to achieve the proportion. So
love that because my knees always hurt.
Exactly. So it's like doing other things that are still going to help you achieve it, but personal to you instead of just like very genetic.
That's what I was going to go into is you built this app called Bare Body.
Yeah.
And so it's been a very successful app where she shows obviously like how to build your body and the things that you're talking about. What are some things that people can get from the app?
So obviously workouts, going to the gym with a plan, knowing exactly, what your goals are. Are you trying to gain muscle? Are you trying to build a butt? Do you need to lose weight? figuring out what your goals are and having a tailored plan that helps you achieve that goal. And then number 2 is nutrition. Having a nutritionist who's able to make a meal plan that's cool. Designed for you. Exactly. If you're vegan, if you're pescatarian, like we have all your needs covered.
That's so cool.
Which is the best part. But my biggest thing is that, you know, I'm like, oh, abundant bear. I carry that with me in everything that I do in life. So when it comes to nutrition, I believe in abundance and not scarcity. You should eat to feel satisfied and not feel like it's like a drag and a pain. I'm not saying that healthy eating is the easiest thing in the world. Like obviously you have to make some sacrifices, but you should still be able to enjoy it. You know, you should have protein pancakes for breakfast and things that make you happy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's what I want to make how I want to make my plan different from other plans is that
food that you can actually enjoy.
Yeah, having a meal plan that you enjoy and is sustainable. Because I think the biggest thing about like being on a diet is that it's called a diet because it sucks.
Yeah.
And I eat everything. Like you know that I do, but I just do it in proportions and in moderation because I've learned to make fitness a lifestyle. And I've learned that if I incorporate the healthy food choices that I need throughout my day, then I can enjoy other things. And that's something that I want to share with other women and help them achieve as well.
I love that.
Because it's such a difficult field.
Because it's hard it's like impossible to stay. I mean, there's people that probably do it, but I feel like it's impossible to stay on a diet. And like I grew up, oh my God, working out and having diets since I was like 15. Yeah. I was like so into that shit. And I'm like, ugh, it was like looking at me then, I feel so bad for me. Like I was just like, didn't know how, and like it was a whole thing. So anyways,
you have to find out what works for you, right? And like I want to help people find that. If they're like, hey Mare, you know, I want to build my butt, but I hate cooking is my least favorite thing in the world. Cool, let me hook you up with like meal plans that get delivered to your house. You'll have no dishes.
Yeah, like the best ones that are good for that.
Yes, exactly, because I've gone through a ton of them. So just finding things like that, my app is cool. Just really having a community of people who just want to make themselves better and be a better version of themselves, whether it's through their body, their mind, their health. And I also am going to start doing like motivational, just kind of like little talks on there and everything. So I do want to build like just a whole community that can help people. My main goal is to make a true impact and be there for like the girls and like the people.
Yeah, I love that.
Like just want a mentor that
she's already transformed so many bodies. So you guys have to download Bare Body. What's your favorite celebrity butt?
Mine. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. It is because I love myself and I love my body. But someone that I have always looked up to and that was really awesome was Tammy Hembrow. Despite like having kids, she is just kicking it.
It's crazy.
Like kicking it. It's amazing.
How does she do that?
I don't know.
Especially with kids and stuff. Like I'm already like slacking now.
That's
I couldn't
the
imagine.
part that is like so inspiring. So she's a boss.
I think one of the things that you were touching on too that I really love is that not putting so much pressure on yourself to diet and actually making it so it's more of a balance. Because once I started having more of a balanced eating life where it's like, I'll eat veggies and salads and salmon sometimes when I go out, but then sometimes I don't, and then I don't feel so bad about myself as long as you have somewhat of a routine where you work out and you exercise and you can live a more healthier lifestyle. It's not, I think when you're starting out, it's like not having so much pressure on yourself to be like, okay, it starts tomorrow and I'm going to be so extreme, because that's when you kind of stop and then you're more upset with yourself, you judge yourself, and then it's like a repetitive like pattern rather than you just like go into it as a lifestyle, like you said.
Yeah, and that's literally the third pillar, where it's like, how do I incorporate this into a lifestyle where it actually feels enjoyable? The last thing that I want is someone going to the gym and like dreading their life and be like, oh, I have to do this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Building that mindset of like, I get to do this for my body, like, and I want to do it. Like waking up knowing that you're doing something to help yourself and like your health, and like wanting to, that's why I also work out in the morning, because on the days that I do, I like make such better food choices. Yeah. And it's just kind of like a good domino effect. And it's cool. Hard, but it's like, I want to find ways to help other people do what works for them. And like, they should be excited to go to the gym or like whenever they're doing their workouts and not dreading it, you know? Yeah. And I think that's something that it's difficult, especially with like if you're following a generic plan, which is why I'm like revamping everything, because I want it to make it super specialized so that I can just literally give you all the tools that have taken me years of like figuring it out and just like deliver it to you like easily.
Here you go.
Yeah, like here you go.
That's amazing. One of the things I wanted to ask you too is like, how do you protect your energy? Do you have reset days? Do you have cheat days? Obviously, we kind of touched on that. You have some cheat days. But how do you protect your energy from having any burnout?
Definitely reset day. And it's hard because as an influencer, we're presented with so many, fun events and things to go to. And I'm very grateful for it because it's a great part of being an influencer and like the perks that come with it. But it reaches a point where it's a little bit too much. And you don't need to say yes to every event. You don't need to say yes to every single party that you're invited to. And you do have to learn to protect your energy, because when you're say yes, like I'm such a yes girl. Like I just never want to turn an opportunity down because I know the opportunities lead to better things. So I'm always like, yeah, sure, I'll do this. Like I'll be there. It's something that I've literally like been so forced to learn the past couple of months is like saying no and being able to protect your energy if something does not serve you. So it's like you don't need
so powerful.
Like you don't need to be at Hyde every single I don't need to be at Hyde every single weekend. It's the same people.
Hyde's a nightclub in West Hollywood that's been around for like, honestly, I feel like 10 years. And like, if you go there, you'll see like some influencers there. And it's just like, every time you go there, it's the same. If you're from LA, it's the same group out every time.
Same
so it's just
music,
funny that she
like
said that.
Same everything. It's fine. It's a great time. But I try to keep my Sundays like pretty open to myself. And those are the days where I kind of just like clean, cook, reset, like do my laundry, listen to podcasts. And I try not to do any work that day because I find that it's just like a good, it's just good to give yourself that time. And when you're so busy, you need that time. So that when Monday comes around, I'm like, sorry if you text me and I don't text you back.
I know. It's like getting your mindset. I'm like, I know.
When Monday comes around, I'm like fulcrum ready to go. I'm like hitting my leg day. Like I'm so excited for the week. Also something that helps is on those like reset days is just setting like an intention for the week or like a plan so you have a good start to your week. Because I am like go, and I find myself being like burnt out. So it's good to have those reset days and also learn to say no to things that don't serve like your energy or your time. It's really hard, and I'm someone who has a lot of FOMO. So please stop inviting me to things.
So please, this is the message to all of you. Do not invite me to anything ever again. I'm learning the power of saying no.
It's very powerful because when you learn to say no, you're telling yourself, okay, I'm not going to go do that. I'm going to use this time to myself for like self-care. And a lot of times we put off self-care and the things that we need to do for ourselves that in the end end up being way more important than you going to a party.
So I really like that you use Parkinson's law. Can you talk to us about it?
Yes. So Parkinson's law states that work expands to fill the allocated time, the available time. So if you give yourself a week to do a task, it's going to take you a week to do it. If you give yourself a month to do a task, it's going to take you a month to do it. If you give yourself a day to do a task, it's probably going to take you a day to do it. And if you give yourself a month to do it, you might overcomplicate it to where it's going to take you a month to do it. But if you're like, okay, I need to get this done today, then you're probably going to do it. Obviously, you with Parkinson's law, it just helps you be more productive because you're giving yourself a certain time limit, a deadline as to when you need to do something.
I loved your example of like if you're traveling somewhere and you have like a week to pack, you'll take a week. Whereas if you like have a few hours, you're going to figure it out in those hours.
Exactly. That's me. I'm going to go on vacation, I hate packing. So I'm like, okay, I have this whole week to pack. It takes me the whole week to pack. But if I'm like, okay, I have 2 hours, boom, 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 boom. Everything's in the bag. And I'm so much more productive. I have the rest of the week to do everything else. So it's about setting, the point of Parkinson's law is about setting like deadlines and goals to when you can accomplish things realistically, but challenge yourself. Like if you think it's going to take you, a whole day to pack, okay, try to do it in 5 hours. Did you accomplish it? Okay, now next time try to do it in 3 hours.
Yeah.
You're going to overcomplicate the task the more time you have. the shorter it is, you're just going to get it done.
That's so cool. You could do that with you probably do that with your goals or things that you're setting for yourself.
Yeah. Sometimes you give yourself too much time to do something and then you procrastinate and then you're like, I could have probably just done this in January.
God damn it. It's been 4 years.
Truly.
Oh my God.
Honestly,
hilarious.
truly.
Okay, some of my final questions for you is, what do you feel like is your $1 billion quality that got you to where you are today?
Oh, this is a good one. Honestly, positivity. Because
I was gonna say it for you if you didn't.
No matter like what happens, I just really have like trained myself to be like, it's okay, it's fine, and like things are gonna get better. And the way that I even like look at failures or like bad things happening are that's a sign that better things are coming. And like this randomly dawned on me one day, but I live in LA and I literally get a parking ticket every single week. I sound so stupid saying this. I promise I read the signs. Somehow it still happens. I get a parking ticket every single week. And my first reaction when I walk to the car and I see that parking ticket, oh my God, I'm so mad. And I'm like, not another one, like another $80, like great. And I get so like upset about it. And one day I just walked to it and I was like, thank you, universe, for this parking ticket, because I see this as I'm becoming wealthier and this isn't like, there's unexpected money coming my way and like I'm not so upset
like you like change your mindset, like, okay, there's an $80 parking ticket, but I'm so grateful that I can afford it, or more money's coming to me, so it's okay for me to spend this, rather than such a negative thing like a lack.
The other day I was like so sick, and I never get sick, and I was like kind of like hard on myself, where I'm like, oh, I'm not like doing things and all that, and I was like, you know what, give yourself grace, enjoy the sickness. And now that I'm out of it, I've like come back so much stronger, and I'm like, okay, I need to prioritize my health. I need to take more of my vitamins. And like, as long as you just look at like the bad things in your life and you find a positive spinoff to anything, I really don't think you can fail.
And when you got that parking ticket and you thought about it, have you gotten one since?
No.
Wow.
Whoa. Come on, more money.
Okay, and then another thing is, when you envision yourself 3 years from now, what will you have accomplished?
This is a big one. I really just want to, I think people look at the term like influencer loosely, and obviously it's something that a lot more people, you know, today and age, a lot of people are influencers. And I really kind of just had to like step back and look at it and be like, what is an influencer? What am I really influencing? You know, am I influencing like cute outfits? Am I influencing?
Which you are too.
Which I am too. I was like, what am I really influencing? And basically just what I like determined for myself is like, I just want to work on being the best version of myself and influence other people to do the same. So like, if it is on an influencer term, I just want to be in a place where I can connect with like more women, more people, and help them like live out their goals and be someone that is inspiring, that they can look up to and be like, okay, if this small girl from Brazil did it, like I can too. Like if she goes to the gym and she like works on her body and her health and carries this positive mindset with her every single day, then like, why can't I?
Yeah, I love that.
And I have learned not to be super specific about my goals.
That's cool.
Like I said, because I used to be like, okay, I want to be an engineer. I'm going to do this. So the reason that my answer is so broad is because I don't want to set a specific path for myself. I just want to have that goal and why I want to do it, and just kind of let it like take me as to like where it needs to be. So, you know, whatever that means, if that means that I need to start my own podcast and like talk some more about things, like that's cool. So
oh my God, I'm excited to see where you'll be in 3 years.
I'm on my entrepreneurial phase, so I'm trying to just like build businesses and like grow them and scale them and just like learn that side and make that flip between when you're an influencer, you know, you're doing the advertising, you're doing the work, and you're still kind of working for a paycheck, if that makes sense. When you're a brand, you have other people work for you. So I'm flip.
Yeah, that's cool. What is your favorite social media platform and why?
So it used to be Instagram because that's my baby. That's where I got my following. That's where I grew up on. I am liking TikTok more now because I think I figured out how to use it a little bit better.
Yeah, TikTok
and it is a little bit more like real and authentic and a better way to grow. So I'm kind of shifting my content strategies to TikTok, but Facebook will always be, what am I saying? Facebook.
I was like, you use Facebook?
No.
I was like, wow, you're the first one that said that.
I'm losing it.
Instagram.
No, Instagram is like my baby.
It's the OG, but it's so hard to grow on.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said TikTok because I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm so happy you came to my bed, Mare. Tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
You can find me at Maarebeaar on all socials. There's 2 A's on the Mare and 2 A's on the Bear. Maarebeaar. Wow, that was so long I had to make a song for it.
So everyone listening, please let us know your favorite parts. Comment on Mare's Instagram. Go find her. Comment on mine. We're going to be letting you guys know on our socials when the episode comes out. And you can follow me at TARUHHH. And tune in every week for $1 Billion Baby. Woo! Love you.
Thanks for having me, chicken.